All right, well, we're back and we're going to continue talking about the personal history journal exercise. Um, First thing to mention is you're going to do this exercise in your groups together. It's important, like all things in coaching, it's important to know what the client's experience is. It'll increase your ability to empathize with them. It just deepens your awareness of what it is that you're asking them to do when you do have clients in front of you and you're doing this exercise with them. And so it's a good idea to just go through it. Also, it contributes to your own ability to develop a sense of congruence where your insides are truly matching your outsides. The only way you get that is by doing your own work, truly knowing yourself, understanding yourself, having compassion and empathy for yourself, and bringing that into the coaching relationship with your future clients, so that the same it's like what Jesus says. It's like, love your neighbor as yourself. Well, if you don't love yourself, you can't really love your neighbor. So understanding your own story and doing any work that you need to do in the present and into the future to reconcile anything that's gone unreconciled is important. It's an important part of your own development, and therefore an important part of this course, an important part of you becoming a effective coach for others, either in the business world or in the life coaching world. I think more and more the business world is appreciating that we don't just show up as robots when we come to work. We bring our whole selves into it. So the whole person that we are, the way we relate to others, the way we relate to ourselves, the way we relate to our work, it's all connected and you can't really extricate it. So any work that you do on yourself is going to bleed over into those other areas of life. So this is a valuable exercise to do no matter what. No matter what the intended application of your life coaching skills will eventually be. Okay, so we're going to ask others to do it. We're going to do it ourselves, so be ready for that. That said, you don't have to share anything that you don't want to share, just like your future clients won't share anything that they don't want to share. If, as you go through the exercise, you become aware that, this might not be the time or place to share certain things, that's okay. Maybe it just brings an awareness up of, oh yeah, that happened. I really should deal with that in some format. And so maybe you can ask the course instructor for the course facilitator for a referral to a therapist if that's what you think it takes, or you can work on this in some private coaching, or just talk to a friend, a pastor, whoever you want to talk to about it. But the course facilitator will be glad to help you with some ideas of where to go for that. Okay, so all that said, let's go through the personal history journal exercise. So I'm on page 76 of the Life Care Instructor Training Workbook. And first question, what would you like to work on? Probably by now, this is probably going back to Appendix 1, that workflow of the order of events when you meet a client for the first time. The first question, what would you like to work on? Probably by now you know the answer to that. So you can just fill that in. And I should say, as you're going through this form, you're maintaining the core conditions: empathy, unconditional positive regard, congruence. You are proper IVing, so you're not just reading the questions like a robot. This should feel like a conversation where you're using these questions to guide the conversation and keep you on track. Okay, I don't really care if you want to hop around to different questions, or as the conversation evolves, you skip forward, skip ahead, doesn't matter to me. But just make sure that you do cover everything eventually. Okay, so what would you like to work on? You can ask them, okay, we've talked about, let's say you want to get a better handle on your anger, fine. Anything else? And you can just open it up and see if there's anything else they want to work on. How long have you known that this was an issue for you? So this is kind of the history of that issue. What have you tried so far to address it? This is really important. And the next question, what has worked? What did you like about it? And then what hasn't worked? What did you dislike about it? It's important to know what they've tried, what's worked, what hasn't worked. You don't want to cover ground that they've already covered in the past, especially if it's something that they've tried and that it didn't work, or they thought it was a really silly idea and they wish they'd never done it. This question will save you from going down that road with clients, because then you wind up kind of invalidating yourself, and you have to sort of dig yourself out of a hole if you're really invested in a solution that they've already tried that just hasn't worked for them. Okay, so important to get that information. And likewise, for the stuff that they've tried that has worked, well, you want to capitalize on that. Maybe you can incorporate more of that into their coaching. What are your goals in dealing with this issue? It's okay if that's a little vague right now. Sometimes people are reluctant to or have a hard time with defining concrete goals. That's okay. It'll become more concrete, more cosmic over time as you work with them. If we're successful, what new behaviors will you start doing? That's intentionally worded. We don't want, as I mentioned, I think in the past when I was talking about cosmic goals, if somebody says, well, my goal is to be happier, well, what would, how do we know if you're happier? Like if I asked you yesterday, were you happy? It's like, well, which part of the day? How happy? I was happy in the morning, then later I wasn't, etc. So you want to know instead, what are the behaviors that are associated with happiness for you? So when you're happy, what kinds of things do you tend to do? What kinds of things do you tend to not do? And that's the question on the next page. If we are successful, what behaviors will you stop doing? Okay, so that just gives you an idea of the direction that you're going to go with the client. And then there's a bunch of other questions there that you can see. So we're going to dig into those in the next video, and I will see you there.